Welcome back to Advertising is Dead. We're talking to Minu. I must first tell you this, and I've said this to you before we start recording. I seldom come across a brand where I've heard of so much consumer love before you kind of get into a recording. So I'm like, I have a lot of questions because I'm like, you generated a lot of that love. But firstly, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. Super excited to be here as well, Varun.
So I wanted to start off with, which I think would be a story for I think many times for you to tell. But if you kind of go back to the inception, the origin story of the brand itself, um, were you always someone who was interested in this space, or did this happen out of a problem that you saw?
Yeah, so I think there are two ways people start up. One is that they feel extremely passionate about like one thing, and then they're like, no matter what, we're going to do this because this is like my calling in life. And then
Mm.
there's the other side, which is I want to start up. I'm going to figure what it is, and then I'm going to find my calling in it. I'm actually the latter. You like it or
Oh.
not? I actually just wanted to start up, and I was very, very convinced ki karna hai.
Mm.
I'm based in Bangalore. Everyone around me is starting up. Like I'm living the
Yeah.
bubble, very much in the center of the bubble, right? Always actually had that thing ki, I wanted to do something on my own, even earlier on in my life. Failed miserably, was doing it on the side with work, but then in 2019 was very convinced that I wanted to start up. So that was the only thing I knew, that I wanted to start up, and that whatever space I'm building in needs to be possibly, a possibility of a large outcome needs to be there. So that was the only thing. So went through the same journey of making Excel sheets, and you write down your, the problem statements that you face in life, and then go deep into it. So I had three problem statements, and I'm an active person myself. Always been up to doing something or the other, and really honestly always struggle with finding, great quality activewear. And a lot of
Mm.
times I would be traveling abroad and picking up clothes made in India, China, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, and I'm like halfway down the world, right? Which made no sense to me. And more importantly, I guess this entire trend of casualization of activewear wardrobe that I would see, like women wearing, leggings instead of jeans, your joggers, sweatpants, track pants, kind of playing a larger part of what you wear through the day rather than just being restricted to that 45 minutes in the gym, and felt like, that's a
Mm.
really exciting trend. And started kind of spend the first 4 months after quitting my job. I was working in phone pay earlier. Just kind of going
Mm.
deep into the space, understanding, how it is, what the trends are, is this a universal problem, and how big it is. And this was right before the pandemic, so this is November 19. And yeah, I was really, really excited by the fact that there's just such a large, demand for, great products which marries like functionality and comfort. And there's no one building for it, and that's kind of how it started. I have a very, cute story of starting from my 2 BHK apartment in Koromangala, with one of my
Yeah.
bedrooms turned into like a packing station with all sorts of those, the ironing boards kind of where became our packing line. And I used to write my own handwritten notes, to now, where, 100 plus people. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey from there.
Yeah. I think one of the most exciting parts of what you have built and are building is the community, right? In many ways, super active in that sense. So when you look at a community-based approach, was the idea to say, okay, let's bring in the community from day one. Let's keep that as one of the core things you're going to build, or was it okay? Let's build the first product and then kind of start doing it. Was there a certain thought to that, or and how was the flow for you?
Yeah, this is really interesting in our journey because it actually wasn't an either or. It was actually an and that was probably some of those magical moments for me earlier on, where I felt, hey, here's this really, really large product white space. No one's building for women. No one's building for the 99% of women who are not going to the gym 6 days a week, but actually hacking, activity into their lifestyle through 8 hours in the day. And that was a huge white space on the product side. But at the same time, I felt there was a large space on the brand side as well, right? And that was started with, again, like personally, being really sick and tired of, perfect looking bodies kind of talking about fitness and fitness being celebrated with, I you don't look like you're fit, you don't have six pack abs, right? And I'm like, hey, I work
Yeah.
out and I do stuff every day, I move every day, I feel great about the time I spend with myself. Like, why should I look a certain way to be defined as fit, right? And really, that's been the narrative in India. It's really sad. You just Google like fitness, women fitness, or just fitness on YouTube. You'll find like how to lose weight, how to lose 20 kilos in
Yeah.
2 months, how to gain six pack abs in 3 days, and all of these things, right?
Which I never
And felt
understand.
like
I want to know how you can get six pack abs in 3 days.
I wish we all knew that. But yeah, it just felt like, so many people just love moving and love spending the time with like with themselves. And there's just too much pressure, yeah, in the planet where ki, yaar, fit. If you have to call yourself a person who's into fitness, you have to look a certain way, and there's just a lot of outcome based pressure. And felt like,
Yeah.
there's such a large brand white space to just build brands saying that it doesn't matter what the outcome is. We're just going to celebrate that journey of movement. And felt like, there were a lot of people who actually related to that. And so it was actually an anti-trend, which meant that, BlissClub from day one was that antithesis of what activewear is generally portrayed as, which is we will help improve performance, you will be first, you will be the best. And we're like, we're not going to do all of that, but we're going to be your best friends and we're going to help you move, and we're going to go, hey, get up, go do that, take the stairs instead of the elevator, and we're going to be that friend to you. And felt like this is the
Mm.
space where we can actually build as a community, we can actually come together as women. And we're building women only, which is all the more stronger to kind of come together and build it really, bottoms up, community first. So not, not the other way around. So yeah, I think, and that's also particularly great for our category, because fitness and movement is that space where you want to work out with other people, you want to go like play a team sport where you just suck in everyone's energy because it's just great to be together. You want to go to a Zumba class with 10 other women screaming hoo ha and all of that stuff. And it is that. And I think like our category is blessed with having the potential to build community first, because community is a big, buzzword in the D2C space as well. But yeah, it was actually and I felt like when both of it came together, we could kind of create something which was very uniquely, positioned.
Um, one of the things which I actually want to ask you also is that as soon as you start, talking to a consumer, as soon as you start building community, you also learn things about the consumer, which maybe you had a different thought process. You say, okay, maybe this is something I've actually learned today from this consumer. Uh, were there a bunch of those in in the start? But okay, I didn't think of it this way, or we didn't think of it this way. But this is what I'm learning from the consumer. What were those things when in the early days?
Varun, you've like, I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? Community has two plays for us, honestly, at Bliss Club, right? The first play is, yes, it helps us build brand and it helps us, in our mission to help women move. But the second and the, just as big in terms of how we look at community is we co-create products with our community, by the way. We don't like, I don't believe that me sitting here in Bangalore or my design lead or my senior designer or junior designer, any of them are individually going to define what half a billion women in half a billion women in India actually want, right? I actually believe that we just need to listen and listen really hard and be smart about building processes to listen to consumers. And if we are able to kind of just be able to take that information and process it, and actually put that into building, that is where we are able to create magic, and that's where we as a challenger brand are going to be able to do something better than incumbents who are just too big to be so close to the consumer. So co-creating products with the community is actually central to our product building process. And it started with when we launched Bliss Club. It's actually a little bit of an antithesis to how things were generally launched, because all my friends in the apparel industry would tell me, Minu, collection launch karna hai. No one launches a single product. You need to have a collection.
Yeah.
You need to give the consumer choice. Um, and I would do all of these polls. And so we actually started as a community before we had product. Also
Yeah.
because the pandemic hit, I couldn't work on product development. So I'm like, okay, let's just start with this because this is a really large bit of what I want to do anyway. So we
Yeah.
started as an Instagram page, and that was the birth of Bliss Club of sorts.
Yeah.
And the first 6 months, it was just me hacking like a very difficult journey of organic growth on Instagram, right? And so there, while we had consumers and our Bliss Club queens coming in, joining our community, I would spend a lot of time, with them on Instagram posts, on WhatsApp groups, really just keeping on asking them questions, right? And it all boiled down to I had to make the perfect pair of leggings. When
Mm.
I would run a poll, which colors do you want, for example, right? 90% of women wanted a black pair of leggings. Only 10% of women
Yeah.
wanted colors. I'm like, I'm not going to optimize for the 10% of women who want colors. I'm going to launch with a single SKU, a single color, because this
Yeah.
is what 90% of women anyway want. So it started as that. And if you follow us at, my Bliss Club, you'll still see that, every day, and, we spam, and we're happy with doing that, right? We want to listen to anything anyone wants to say. I mean, if you do want it, you can always unfollow us, but the kind of response we get, we ask everything from, do you want a zipper hoodie? Do you want a hoodie without the zipper? Do you want like this color, that color? So we run color polls. We run like, do you want pockets on the left, right? How many pockets do you want? What is the flare? If you're making flare pants, like, do you want it lightly flared or, very wide leg flared? So everything. So we literally co-create every product with a consumer, starting from conception of how the design should look, to naming the product, to pricing the product. We're really kind of, and including having like separate WhatsApp wear a trial groups of consumers where we send them free products, and then they give us like inputs about everything that we speak about. We have FGDs that we run every Saturday where the entire company listens in. So like 100, people listen into these focus group discussions where we speak to consumers. So like community is central to product building for us as well.
And I think that's the most exciting part when I look at it, right? Is that oftentimes community is something that gets slapped onto a brand. It's like you said, it's a great catchphrase to have. But true community is when the community is actually engaged with the brand, almost like they're engaging with the person. And I think what you just said makes total sense. It's that constant engagement, constant conversation, rather than okay, let's get you guys together in a group, and that's what it is. But it's still you kind of talking to them, listening, not just talking, just also listening and kind of building it with that. Um, was pockets the most requested piece? Because the first thing that I got, because I generally kind of ask whenever I'm talking to a brand, I ask people who have bought the brand, and I kept hearing about pockets. And at some point, I also have realized over the years that women's aesthetic wear actually, I think women's wear in general lacks pockets, which I've never. I kind of understand, but I still don't think it makes sense. So was pockets always a thing?
You know what? Like, I think only a woman understands the pain of not having pockets in her clothes, man. It's just so sad. And there's actually a history behind it, and a pretty sad, unfortunate history behind how, women's clothes like were just really primarily built by men, who decided at some point in time, men have wallets and all this cash to carry, but for women, pockets is just like a design element. So it never
Mm,
was deep enough. You always have denim pockets. And this is so close to me, ever more so now. So I just came back from a
mm,
vacation. And if you know me, like I'm always wearing leggings. Okay. Now, like, you never very rarely see me like wearing any other pants. But I do wear other pants when I have to sample other things and, like, really immerse myself in other brands and, like, really just kind of get in there. And for the first time, I was traveling back. I was in the airport, and I decided I'm not going to wear my leggings, but I'm going to wear these pants of one very expensive X brand. And I had my phone in there. I sat and got up. My phone had slipped out of my pocket because it had those side pockets and not like the top pocket that actually sits in.
oh no.
And I lost my phone in the Berlin airport for like 30 minutes. I had a flight to catch. It had all my, photos of my, this is the last day of my vacation and I'm flying back to India. It had all my photos. I hadn't backed up my phone for 112 days. I knew that because that morning I'm like, okay, I haven't backed up my phone. I hope I don't lose my phone. And that happened that day. And I'm like, why can't women just have functional pockets? And it's not about not having pockets. It's also, if you have pockets, they're very like just namesake pockets, right? So this was really something that if you ask any woman, if you find a kurta with pockets, you buy it. You like the kurta or not? It has pockets, so you have to pick it up, and that's how it is, right? So we've just never had like functional pockets, but women are earning. We now have wallets to slide in as well. But really, I think pockets are so essential because it's just so basic to just live hands free. Um, and yeah, I really started with like knowing that if I am building product, I'm going to build for women. And like I like it's good. I'm really blessed by the fact that I'm building for myself in a large way, and hence
Yeah.
I am the consumer myself, and hence can feel those pain points, and then just do a cross check, but hey, do you guys feel this too, and then build for it. But pockets is, it's just such a it's such a sad story in women fashion, to be honest. So we have pockets in everything. Like that's core to our design. Like we had this
I
big
saw
debate
Instagram
internally.
post about not one, not two, four, or was it now 4 pockets, 5 pockets?
Six,
I
six,
saw a
six.
post, 6 pockets. Yes.
Our latest, and what we also take pride on is hiding our pockets, that people don't even know that they had the six pockets. So we have consumers saying, "You said you have six pockets, but I can only find five. You're cheating me." And I'm like, "Hey, but go look into this corner of your legging, you'll find a pocket." But
Yeah.
yeah, we love pockets, and we're like, we need to enable, and also comes from, it's not just, it's also from the fact that we're building in a space which is a little different from just traditional activewear. We're not building for that 45 minutes in the gym. We are building for an active
Yeah.
lifestyle, which is 8 hours in the day, which means that you do have to carry stuff through the day. You will have your phone to slide in. You may like have your passport and your AirPods to slide in if you're traveling. We are enabling a different use case altogether, which is an active lifestyle, and hence it also makes a lot of sense to have pockets in the products we build.
And I think one of the most, uh, and that's a core insight, right, is that if you look at even 2018, maybe early 2019, a lot of people were living an active lifestyle, but kind of switching between two kinds of clothes. And I think through the pandemic till now, a lot of us have transitioned to saying, okay, I live a lifestyle where certain amount of movement is a part of my day. I want to be comfortable. I want to be functional as well. So it's almost like your
Yeah.
founding period kind of hit that right point of the wave of when people are also kind of moving to dressing a certain way for function and for movement. Uh, how do you see this space evolving if you look at it from a broader macro perspective, right? Just like if you look at active wear, look at this entire active way of living, right? I don't think you even call it fitness, because I think fitness is a lifestyle. It's not just like something you do, like you said, for an hour in the gym. How
Yeah.
do you see this entire active wear ecosystem kind of evolve from a market opportunity and in general?
Yeah, yeah. So I quit my job November 19th. So this was just 1 month before the whole narrative of, pandemic was coming together, right? So I was really, really excited about this space even before the acceleration that happened when it came to fitness. And two broad trends that I had in mind, which got me very bullish about the space, right? First thing is that if you look at the evolution of fashion, right from, when we had corsets to what we are doing right now, women and like, I mean, just human beings in general have always evolved towards comfortable wear. So evolving towards comfort in terms of apparel has been like a trend over decades that's been continuing, right? So felt very basic. I mean, like, yeah, like if we are building products, like why do we have to squeeze out of like our sports bra? Why does leggings have to feel so plasticky all the time that you don't want to wear it beyond the gym because it just itches? So felt
Mm.
like there's anyway a large evolution towards comfort in fashion altogether, and that's kind of where we want to evolve. And the second thing being that health and fitness is really a narrative of the future, right? Like if you look at most developed countries, their spends on health and fitness is so much more than a developing
Yeah.
country like ours, and there is a huge trend in India. Which maybe players who are not really rooted in India have not really noticed as much, but
Yeah.
there is a huge revolution of people wanting to be fit and leading a healthy and active lifestyle that exists both among men and women. And I feel that's a huge thing that we want to kind of capture and go after. And yeah, that is I mean, that's the two trends that I feel really accelerates what the fitness and active lifestyle narrative is evolving to, which is that how can you marry functionality and comfort in clothes, and how does that become your go-to attire in life, be it in terms of what you wear at home, what you wear in office, what you wear to a party, and how does this kind of take a larger part of your life and evolve too.
There's when I even look at the content you create, right? Be it the series, the Her Moves series, or even in general, when I look at it,
Oh, you
um,
watched it. It's a very
I
new
watched it.
series so far.
I did check it out. Um, what I'm also sensing is that it's not just about the product; it's about the essence of this kind of lifestyle. Um, what what's your general thought process on in terms of how you build content around the brand? Because I think that has also played a large part in kind of building the community, building consumer love, etc. So how do you generally look at this aspect?
Yeah. So I think the nucleus of everything we're building at Bliss Club is movement, right? And we're saying that, hey, we want to enable women to move and lead an happy and active lifestyle. And that somewhere, is the essence of everything we do from a product point of view, from a brand point of view. It's really enabling happiness through movement. That is the core and that is the mission of Bliss Club, right? And so here, while we think about creating content, really it comes around. Yes, we want to talk about product. We want to talk about what our product does in someone's journey. But there are just so many narratives in India which we as a team feel like we need to take a different stance on it and say that we don't wanna kind of take that whole thing that I was saying, right, which is fitness is not about the outcome but the journey. It's so ingrained in everyone's mind. When you work out, you have to go to the weighing scale and then check how many kgs did you lose. It's just so ingrained in how we operate. Really creating a different story, celebrating why someone should move, what it means, and discovering what that movement means for you, what that journey means for you, is really like 3-4 pillars that we think about in terms of content, right? Because we can always say, hey, we will enable you to move with our product, but a lot of women don't even know ki why, like the whole basic question of why should I move, like why is it important for me.
Yeah.
The second question of what is movement for me, like am I an ultimate frisbee player, am I a badminton player, am I a runner, do I even have to label myself as any one of these, right? So I think really that journey of movement and helping women through that journey is something like we all feel is something that we need to do if this is our mission, right? Because I mean the essence of a lot of things are that I think women specifically, um we tend to put ourselves on the back burn when it comes to like investing time on ourselves, on our health and things for us, right? We always kind of we I mean it's just maybe biologically how women are wired, that you're wired to take care of your family, you're wired to do things for other people before you do it for yourself, and sometimes you feel guilty that okay, I'm not making food for my kids, but I'm going out for my run and maybe they're hungry for another 30 minutes. But really I feel that we need to help women discover the fact that taking care of yourself is just as important, because only if you are healthy and happy can you spread that kind of happiness with your friends and family and parents and the people around you. And that is essentially we feel that there's a large gap that we can help. And as a brand we have a voice, and
Yeah.
we have so much love from consumers. Like what are we giving back and how are we using our voice to kind of help and to kind of change
Mm.
that narrative. And if that's our mission, how can we stay true true to it through our voice? So yeah, we're trying to, I mean honestly, that we're also kind of playing with different kinds of content. So if you see, we're kind of very experimental right now. We're seeing what are the things that really hits home and really hits someone's
Mm.
heart, so that they feel that this is a content that they relate to. But we make, like, if you see, most of our content is super organic. We have a
Yeah.
lot of fun reels. I mean, by the way, 100% of content of ours are made by either our Bliss queens, our customers, or our employees, or me, or it's just friends and family. We don't have like very scripted content as such, and we love that, and we want to keep it real. I think that's an essence and
Mm.
a theme of Bliss Club, like keeping it real. And yeah, that's maybe the tone of our content overall.
I have a bunch more questions, and especially want to go on to the other side and talking about your team, etc. But I know we need to go for a break. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with Advertising is Dead.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks to Varun Duggirala, host of Advertising is Dead, on what motivated him to talk about and learn more about the effects of the mind. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth talks about how to make meetings more productive. On This Round is on Me, Gauri is joined by Harshil Karia, founder of Shebang and co-founder of Level. He shares his perspective on balancing his work across various businesses. On the Musafir Stories, Keshav takes us on an amazing temple tour in northern Karnataka. He goes to Badami, Ehole, and Patadakkal, amongst others. And on the Wire Talk, Siddharth dives deep into the birth of our national flag in his conversation with guest Arundhati Virmani, Indian historian and author. Once again, I'd like to remind you all, please do check out our merch. It's available on IVM Podcast website. Go click the shop tab and you'll be able to see our first collections of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, we got a bunch of YouTube channels as well, and if you want to check that out, go to our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. We have a list of all those channels. And remember, do tell a friend if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter. Word of mouth is one of the most important and best ways for us to get the word out about this podcast. Also, it's a way for you to have discussions about a podcast with your friends. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Boat Lifestyle, Checkpoint Software, Small Case, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to Advertising is Dead. We're still talking to Minu. I have to ask you this. There's another entire aspect to being an entrepreneur, which is to build your team. Day one onwards, it's like, okay, who do you hire? How do you hire? And that problem, I don't know the problem, but I think that's like a core focus that never really goes away.
Yeah.
So how has that part been for you? Like, if you look at it, like, okay, when building the team and you have a women first team and you have more than 50% women in leadership and across the board. So how was the team building process for you? How was it kind of building out the team, and what did you kind of go looking for?
Yeah, I think, if there's one big learning for me, as a first-time entrepreneur, I think it's really the fact that before, when I used to think about what is my core job, as someone who's leading the company, it would be, strategy and hard work and setting all this agenda and reviews and meetings. But I feel like everything that I thought that I should be doing as a CEO of a company is actually shattered when I actually realized that there are only two things that I need to do really well, and everything else falls into place. And that's the most high leverage thing that I can do, which is one, hiring the right people, two, setting the right processes. Without this, we don't scale, we don't grow at a certain pace, we don't achieve what we want to achieve, right? And this is a big learning for me, because for me, people, and like, I never had any of this complexity of what it takes to hire. I mean, I had very small teams before. I think this is the big learning, which is, how do you set the process of hiring, finding the right talent, finding the right culture fit, and how do you now have these folks come in and you know um, do and perform their best, right? And both for themselves and for the company, which comes when you set in the right processes, when everyone's working in a certain way, everyone knows why we have to move at a certain pace, why we have to think big, why do we have to bring in structure into how we work. But really, I think in terms of hiring, it's been a learning curve for us at Bliss Club as well. But a lot of learnings in terms of how we think about people. But essentially now, I think, while I look and speak to folks, I think it comes down to two broad pillars. It's just hungry and humble people, and that's kind of how I would segment like my thought process when I evaluate someone, or like look at someone's culture fit into Bliss Club. Hungry because we are a young challenger brand. We are a Series A company. Whoever needs to come here needs to be borderline crazy, because work is hard, work is more. Pay should be essentially less than what a very large Google or a Facebook can pay. Lot of hard work, lot of chaos, and you have to learn to deal with a lot of shit. And so only if you are hungry to be that owner, take a lot of ownership in terms of what you're doing, wanting that restlessness to move at a certain pace, to grow fast. And that is Bliss Club as a whole, right? We are a very restless bunch who want to take on an industry which is much bigger, and we love being that that challenger brand. So
Yeah.
that hunger needs to purely show, and that comes from why you joining Bliss Club. There are so many other companies you can join. Why, how are we playing that role in your life? How do you see yourself in? So really, like, what is in it, in what is exciting someone, when it comes to joining Bliss Club, and what is the right reasons to join is really important. So that hunger needs to show, be it in terms of their
Mm.
career in the past, their reason to join, or how they've done, or how much effort they've put into an assignment process, which is a very, very basic process for us. And the second thing is humble, and humility. I sometimes feel it's not about just just saying that, okay, you achieve big things, but you don't talk about it. And that's not what I mean by humility. I actually mean humility from an intellectual point of view, saying that you need to be humble to know that there are so many things that is an unknown for us at Bliss Club, right? We're at day one of our journey, and we'll probably be at this for a very long period of time. You need to be humble enough to always seek knowledge, seek advice, bring in a lot of outside in learnings, and incorporate that into how you work and operate. Learning from your peers, learning from people around you, outside you. Without that humility at this stage, if you come and say that,
Mm.
hey, I've operated for the last 10 years, I know everything, I'm just going to come and use that
Yeah.
same playbook, we're not going to innovate, we're not going to change, we're not going to be able to do a fair job to the mission that we're trying to do. So I think humility comes from that point of view, that you need to be humble to know that I don't know everything, and I'm going to seek that knowledge around me, and I'm going to seek it really, really fast because I'm really hungry. And so humility and hunger kind of, I think, in some way forms the essence of the folks at Bliss Club. But I feel we've done a pretty great job with that. We all just vibe together really well at Bliss Club all together.
What have you learned about yourself as as you become an entrepreneur over these last couple of years? Has there been, because I feel all entrepreneurs find out, discover things about themselves which are like, one second, this is how, not just how you grow, but really how you realize what you, let's say you have two core focuses, but beyond that, was there something else that you discovered about yourself?
I'm actually thinking about it now that you asked me, to be honest. Um, but I think there was one thing about me that I never liked a lot about myself, which is I've always been a very impatient person. So I spent the first 5 years of my life in hardcore business finance, and then I decided to do my MBA and then move to hardcore brand marketing. So I always felt like I was this very restless person. Ye bhi karna hai, wo bhi karna hai. Like this, I'm a pretty like restless human being generally. Like want to do a little bit of everything. I listen to all sorts of music. I play a lot of sport, like different kinds of sport. I have so many interests in life which are very, very varied, right? Sometimes I feel like I miss out because there are some people who do one thing and then they just go deep into it, and do it really well, right? But they're really, really good at it. I somehow always felt like this is my weakness. I've not just gone and become the best violin player in my life. And I feel my journey now in Bliss Club, because of having this exposure from so many different aspects of my life, I've become like this great generalist where I can have a fun conversation with the brand and the product design team, and I can go and have a pretty analytical and a very, very, focused discussion with our, more your a growth or category, or the PNL or the finance team, right? And I somehow feel that's been a great learning, that it's not always bad to be a generalist of sorts. You can, and I actually now believe the opposite. I actually believe that the intersection of different, very, very different functions, which is bringing finance and marketing together, or like in Bliss Club, we have half the janta, we are extremely creative, and the other half that is like super, super analytical, numbers ke bina we won't think beyond that, right? But I think the success of Bliss Club will come if we're able to kind of marry both of these hemispheres and create magic in that intersection. So I
Yeah.
actually feel intersection of different functions coming together is really beautiful. And I feel that's been a learning for myself. But I do now feel that now that I've found in some way my jig in life ki ye karna hai, I want to now go deep into it and just stay at
Yeah.
it. And be really, like, hopefully be really good at what I'm doing. But yeah, I think that's been a discovery of sorts. And then the second thing is that in my life I've moved a lot of places. So I've always been a very people person. I'm a pretty extroverty person. I can like say that I love meeting new people. Like I'd rather go meet someone than say no, I don't want to meet someone, right? So
Mm.
and that comes from the fact that I've changed 9 schools in my life. I've lived across different cities. So I've actually found that as a little bit of like things that I enjoy doing. I love going to work and meeting new people. I love interviewing new folks. So it's somewhere playing to my strengths, which has been the good things of some of the learnings I've had of sorts. Yeah.
Um, and as you kind of look ahead into the space that you're at, what are you focusing on for the future? Obviously, a lot more in terms of product growth, etc. But if you look into this space, what do you see as trends moving to the future that you're kind of tapping into without giving away any secret plans or more, or
Um,
talk about more, or maybe more pockets? No, I'm not going to talk about more pockets.
No, so I think, essentially, the nucleus of what we're building is movement. And I think that is one like extreme clarity that all of us have. We will build anything that enables women to move. And that
Mm.
is the, problem statement that we have. And, within apparel, there are so many different problems to solve for. And so many categories that we want to explore. So very excited about, all of the launches that we're looking at, be it in terms of, our winter wear collection, building products specifically for women, feminine products to move in. Why do you have to only wear shorts and pants? Why can't you like work out in skirts and dresses
Yeah.
and things like that? So we're very excited about really building around women and problems that we can specifically solve for in movement. And then while we kind of look at apparel, we then think about, okay, what beyond this, be it in terms of accessories, what do we kind of look at, but really like expanding our horizon in terms of building products for movement is really what the direction of Bliss Club will always be it in terms of products, be it in terms of community. Really marrying both of this is really the direction we want to head in.
Um, so towards the later part of every episode, I ask my guests a set of questions which have nothing to do with what we spoke about, but I think in your case is going to kind of cross over on this one as well. What do you spend a lot of time on beyond the work that you do at Bliss Club? That keeps you excited, keeps you focused, and keeps you saying, okay, this is something which I do want to spend a lot of time doing. You mentioned sport, you mentioned music, which is why I'm kind of guessing it's going to go towards that. But what's your jam outside of work?
Yeah, outside of work, I actually like moving. Like I said, so like some sort of things I used to play a lot of Ultimate, and now I have to say used to because like after the pandemic, so we had to stop playing because there were rules around team sport at some point of time, and I stopped going. And then Bliss Club happened at that time, and now like just I haven't gotten back to playing for my club. So I used to play for a club in Bangalore, so I don't play for them.
Which is ultimate
Though,
frisbee. So you actually, so you used to play for a club for
yeah,
ultimate frisbee, which I was super excited to hear about. And I was like, okay, this is something which you need to do more of.
yeah. Yeah, it's a club level sport, so there are multiple clubs across India. It's an adult sport as well, so you have folks of different age coming in. So yeah, so I stopped playing there, but I do get throws and I do get like small games in my community, and a lot of my folks from office we come together and we play. We also like I also play badminton. It's something that I picked up. I love running. So really, I think like spending my time in all of this is a large part of it. Other than that, I binge shows sometimes and Netflix and yeah, like the basic stuff. I love traveling as well. But yeah, nothing very over the top, but yeah, like I think some sort of movement is always a very big part of my life.
Um, Anything that you watched, read, or listened to recently that you would recommend?
What I watched, I actually binge watched a series. I don't know if I would recommend it. It's slightly dark, but it's a series called Candy. It's on
Mhm.
Hotstar. It's about this lady who kills another woman out of the blue, but
Mhm.
it's just a very nicely done show. So I mean, I love that, and I just watched it, so quite enjoyed it. But yeah, nothing else top of mind as such.
What can you put together in an instant?
As in.
This is the broadest question. This is the question I've asked all guests we've had. What can you put together in
Okay.
an instant? You can take it in any way you like.
What can I put together? I can put together a very like awesome ensemble of a sports outfit that looks really sexy when you go out for a dinner date. And I love doing that. So I take the ultimate leggings and I pair it up with things which looks really nice. So I guess that's something that I can put together, and it's something that I can do even when I go to office. Not a sexy outfit, but definitely love like pairing up things. And it's a big part of like my morning routine where I innovate my outfit with activewear clothes that we build.
Um,
It sounds so like Bliss Clubby, but I mean that's the first thing that
No.
came to my mind.
It's the good part about founders is that it generally seeps in from what they're into to the brand, right? So that's like a seamless connection there, is what I've actually realized over time. Um, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten across your entrepreneur journey and in general?
I have got, I have been so blessed. I have got like a lot of good advice, and I really love the ecosystem. I love the startup ecosystem. I think everyone's so helpful. There is never key, I'm not going to say this and I'm not going to talk about this and I'm going to cover up this. And everyone's like, every time I've reached out to anyone, I've always got like open-handed, advice and help and things like that. So a lot of great advice. I think some of the good advice I've got, I think, is earlier on in the journey because that was a very lonely journey. Like first, I think I would say the first 10 months it was just me.
Mm.
So it's a very different journey because I was very used to working in teams where you always have a boss and then someone's there to tell you good job, and somewhere I feel like I missed that while starting up. And there was always this fear of, why have I left my job to do this? What if this doesn't, move in a certain direction? What, what is my opportunity cost here? It's very high and stuff like that. But I think one of the good, the good piece of advice that I've got is that, don't look at this as an infinite project. Look at it as a time bound project, saying that you're going to give yourself like certain amount of, time in your life. And that was 2 years for me. I'm going to give myself 2 years of my life. And at the end of 2 years, till 2 years, I'm going to keep trying whatever I need to do without questioning myself. Ki, why am I doing it? How am I doing it? Is this the right decision? Should I shut down? Should I keep going? Because a lot of times you go through so much trouble in the
Exactly.
first few months, but the fact that you've given yourself a very time bound and a timeline that's super tangible just removes that pressure off you because you're like 2 saal ke baad if it's not happening I'll just go back and I'll figure it out. And so I think that is one really good piece of advice. And the second piece of advice has really been this is really nice. I'm generally a very optimistic person, so I always think about the best thing, like ye aise hoga,
Mm.
everything will be really nice. And then that also makes me very disappointed more because you always want more and you always like try to always think only about the rosy
Yeah.
side of things, and then you sometimes end up feeling worse when it doesn't happen. But one really good piece of advice that someone told me was that before you start something which is uncertain, close your eyes, think about, and like not just for 5 minutes, but really take, if you need a day, if you need a week, if you need a month, take that time to really internalize what is the worst thing that can happen with you through this,
Yeah.
right? If this completely fails, like what is the worst thing? Reputation loss hoga, financial loss hoga, what mental loss hoga, whatever it is. Like think about the worst thing and then make peace with it. And once you've made peace with it, you are fearless in terms of how you operate. Like, what's the worst you can happen? You can imagine it. You have imagined it. You have also like made peace with it, so that whatever you're doing in your daily life, you just feel like a little bit more bindas and fearless. And I think these two things have been really game changing for me. It's been super helpful to get that kind of advice earlier on in my journey because I feel I'm kind of fearless. I'm like want to go all in, want to go all out, but it's okay if it doesn't happen. It's fine, and hence it gives
Exactly.
you like a lot of risk taking ability which you require when you're starting up. Yeah, because if you have that fear, a lot of times you don't know in which direction to move. You have that thing of being swayed here and there, but I think that risk taking ability is built by picturizing worst case and then saying abhi to like nothing can be worse than that, so I'm good to go ahead with things.
And my final question to you is, the show's called Advertising is Dead. But what do you think is going to keep this space alive going ahead? What is the part that you're most excited about for the overall active lifestyle? I'm just going to call it the active lifestyle space because I can see the opportunity for you to kind of go into so many things. But what do you feel is the most exciting thing that's going to keep it alive in the days to come?
You mean through advertising?
In general.
Okay. Oh, why do you think? Are you saying if I'm getting the question that you're asking, why do you think the active lifestyle space is gonna grow and move in a certain direction? Is that
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I'm just I think like I live by certain principles in life, and I feel the only thing that is super limited in life is the time you have on earth. I feel that everyone needs to start optimizing for that, which means that living a healthy lifestyle is very fundamental and core to how everyone will possibly operate once we all have that enlightenment that this is the only limiting thing in all our lives. So I am actually very bullish by the fact that more and more people are getting aware of the importance of leading an active lifestyle, the how great it makes you feel as well. And I
Yeah.
think that that collective minds coming together saying that this is important for us as as a humanity, that it is important for us to live sustainably, to lead a healthy lifestyle, to extend the runway that we have on planet Earth, on all fronts. I think that there is a lot of narrative being built around it, and I'm super bullish about it. You like most of the celebrities and influencers you see, everyone's really talking about going to the gym, leading an active lifestyle, and I think it's a great example to set. It's a good direction for all of us to head. So I think that is going to be one very very strong narrative that helps us push things, and I think that just builds then the space that we're building in.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a fabulous episode. I hope it was as much fun for you as it was for me. I have a ton of like insights that we kind of taken from this, and I know the audience is going to get that as well. And thank you so much for coming on Advertising is Dead.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. You actually did ask me some questions where I had to think a little bit as well. But it's been super nice to kind of have this chat with you. Have a lovely evening.